Here at Austin Public Schools, our mission is to engage, empower, and inspire every learner every day. Through the hard work of our staff and students, we have grown to become a district that is recognized statewide as a leader in innovation, providing opportunities for academic excellence and engagement. We've been fortunate over the last 17 years, thanks to increasing enrollment and other factors, to not need to ask for an increased referendum value. Unfortunately, with our enrollment plateauing, the time has come where we need to ask for an increase. Today, we'd like to share with you some facts about Austin Public Schools' request to renew and increase the district's operating referendum. So what is the average operating referendum in the state of Minnesota for districts with a referendum? The state average operating referendum is $1,040 per pupil. The current operating referendum for Austin Public Schools is only $42 per pupil. The average in the Big Nine is $857 per pupil. As you can see in the chart, Austin currently is at the very bottom of the schools in the Big Nine by referendum value, with $42.70 per pupil. The next closest school is Mankato with $454.68, which is more than 10 times higher than Austin's value. With our new referendum value, we would be at $547.70 per student, which would still place us only third from the bottom, and still well below that Big Nine average value. So what is the district proposing? On Tuesday, November 3, 2020, school district residents will be asked to approve an increase in the operating referendum of $505 per pupil, subject to an annual increase at the rate of inflation. The proposed new referendum revenue authorization will be first levied in 2020 for taxes payable in 2021 and applicable for 10 years. This special election will be held on General Election Day. How are public schools in Minnesota funded? State aid comprises 80% of the revenues in the general fund. Local levies provide only 5% of the general fund revenue, with the remaining funds coming in the form of federal aid and miscellaneous revenue. So how much will the proposed operating referendum generate for Austin Public Schools? Upon approval, the annual operating referendum increase of $505 per pupil will provide $2.83 million of additional funding each year. The current operating referendum of $42 per pupil only provides $240,000 in funding annually. Is the operating referendum funded through a combination of local property taxes and state aid? Yes, the operating referendum funding will be 49% state equalization aid, with the remaining 51% coming in the form of property tax levies. Therefore, upon passage, $1.38 million of new funding will come in the form of state aid, while the remaining $1.45 million will be in the form of a local levy. The grand total of additional funding is $2.83 million. The only way to receive the equalization aid is by approving the levy referendum. Why do Minnesota public schools pass operating referendums? The general education formula for Minnesota public schools has not kept up with inflation. Therefore, public school districts pursue operating referendums to help fill the gaps in funding. How will the funds be used? The funds from the operating referendum will be used to continue to operate the school district, to offset the lack of funds provided by the state, and to mitigate the effects of future budget cuts. So what happens if the proposed operating referendum doesn't pass? If the operating referendum vote fails, the Austin Public School District will need to implement more cuts and cost-saving measures. The following list includes the major areas where cuts are likely to occur. Number 1, reduce employee positions. Number 2, increase class sizes. And number 3, narrow the scope of program and course offerings. Has the district already implemented cuts and cost savings measures? Yes, the school district has already implemented $1.6 million in cost-saving measures, revenue enhancements, and staff reductions. What would be the property tax impact if the referendum is approved? The tax impact would be $7.95 per month for a home with a market value of $100,000 and $9.95 per month for a market value of $125,000. You can see in the table that those numbers are proportional based on the market value of the property. Does agricultural land have a property tax impact for an operating referendum? The only agricultural property that is taxed for an operating referendum is the house, garage, and 1 acre of farm homestead. All other bare land, either homestead or non-homestead, is exempt from the property tax regarding an operating referendum. Thank you for taking the time today to listen to this presentation about the facts about Austin Public Schools' request to renew and increase the district's operating referendum.